Hi, I'm Karla Schafer, Auntie's Beads designer, and today I'll be showing you how to make earrings out of chain. The first earring I'm going to demonstrate is how to use just a single piece of chain, 6 links long, that's about 1 inch long, and just drop beading onto the earring, onto the chain. I'm using a kidney ear wire, but you can use a French wire, any kind of ear wire actually. But I have cut this chain 6 inches, and in this case it's 6 inches. 1 inch, in this case it is 6 links long. So I'm going to slip the ear wire into one end of the chain here. I'm going to close this just a little bit, and then I'm going to close the ear wire. So then what we're going to do is we're going to drop bead onto the chain. And if you pull the chain, you can see how we've got a link with 2 sides and then one with 1. So we're going to put 2, 1 on either side of this middle link, 1 on this link, 2, 1, 2, 1, all the way down to the end. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to demonstrate how you can use the wire looping tool to make rosary loops. And what I have already done here is I've cut the head pin to just about 3/8 inch above the bead. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take your your wire looping pliers, the tip of the wire, and we're going to rotate until we get a nice little loop. And I'm going to slip it back in, kind of give it a bend back. Then you can take your chain nose pliers and straighten them up if you need, and we've made a nice clean little rosary loop. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to do it again. Just grab the wire, rotate it down towards the bead, take it out, slip it back in, kind of bend it back. And again, you can adjust with your chain nose pliers or round nose pliers. Now we're going to use a total of 9 beads because I'm using 6 links. And if you find as you're doing this that this is just that your loops are a little too long, then you can play around with the length of the wire. But I like using it right at 3/8 or maybe just sometimes above 3/8. So I'm going to start from the bottom, and when I pull my chain I see that the bottom is going to be long ways, so I'm going to put 1 bead on the bottom. So again, I'm going to use my chain nose pliers, open up the loop, down the bottom. You work from the bottom or the top. Close it. And then I'm going to add 2 to the second link, 1 on either side of that link. Sometimes it's just hard to keep all this together. I like working with the chain when it's already on the ear wire, that way I can see that's the top is. Sometimes it's a little easier to handle, but you can do it however you feel comfortable. See, I've got 1 on one side, now I'm going to put 1 on the other. We're going to continue this up. So the next one I'm going to put 1, because again, as you pull the chain, you can see that you have the link facing you. You can do these with any kind of chain, any color combination, Swarovski crystals, semi-precious stones. If you get lost in your pattern, just check. See, I've got 1 more to put on there. Okay, and I've got 2 on the next link and 1 more on the top link. This is just a easy way to make a pair of really fun chandelier earrings just by using a piece of chain. This was something someone had asked for, so if you have a suggestion or something for a project or a video, let me know. Well, I put that one on the top link. I skipped my link, but that's okay. We're just going to add 2 to this one link here. As I said, sometimes it gets jumbled up and you can't remember what you've done. Nothing we can't fix. And 1 more. Okay, I screwed this up too. That one I just put on, I put on the bottom link, but hey, what are you going to do? We'll just take it off and put it on the other link. Now we've got our little chain dangly little chandelier earring here, and I will show you a different way to use chain. We're going to use beading chain to make a simple drop earring. I'm going to use beading chain, and I'm using 2.5 inches of beading chain. I already cut it. And the first thing that I'm going to do is create a loop at the top so that I can place it on an ear wire. So I'm going to take it, and now I'm using gunmetal beading chain. So I'm going to use a gunmetal 2x2 crimp bead. I'm going to slip it on the chain. I'm going to take round nose pliers, and I'm just going to try to bead the chain, and it's kind of, beading chain's kind of funny. Sometimes it'll bend and sometimes it won't. You have to be careful not to crease it. So I'm going to slip it in till I see the end at the crimp, and then I'm going to slowly pull it into a loop. And then I'm going to take my chain nose pliers or flat nose pliers, and I'm going to flat crimp that crimp bead until as you can see I've created a loop. And then what we'll do is I'm just going to take a little silver spacer bead, and again I will have the full list of supplies on the video page at auntiesbeads.com. And then I'm going to slip that onto the beading chain. I'm going to slip on another 2x2 crimp bead. Up into the bottom. I'm going to take my chain nose pliers, and I want to keep everything going the right direction. So I've got this flat crimp going this way, so I'm going to hold that in my fingers, and I want to flat crimp the same way. Keep everything lined up. And again, flat crimp it, and then that keeps that bead in place. And then I'm going to slip on another crimp bead because we're going to have a Swarovski crystal twist bead on the bottom, but I'm going to want it to stay in place, so I'm going to slip on a crimp bead, and then I was going to cap it with a little filigree bead cap in gunmetal. And slip that on the wire. Let it slide down. Then I'm going to take my Swarovski twist bead, and I'm using black diamond. Slip it on. Then I'm going to slip on the other bead cap. And another crimp bead. So there's a total of 4 crimp beads on this one earring, so you need a total of 8. And with this crimp, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it down to the end as close as possible without pulling out, and flat crimp it. And if I have a little tail, which I do, I'm just going to trim it with the nipper tool. Then I'm going to let everything slide down. Then I'm going to crimp this crimp bead to keep that twist bead in place. So just slip my pliers on it. Again, I'm trying to make sure everything's lined up. Crimp it. And then if you want to, these little filigrees are nice and soft, and you can kind of adjust them to the bead so they don't stick out too much. You can just take your pliers and bend down slightly. Then add ear wire. And we made an earring out of beading wire. Then the next earring I'm going to show you is using this Chinese crystal square bead and chain. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to suspend this on an eye pin and then hang it from the chain. I also want to measure this 3/8 inch from the top of the bead here and cut it. And again, in this case, I want to make sure that I get my loops going the same direction. So just line it up. Take your pliers, the tip, start rolling it towards the bead. Slip it out. And then make an adjustment. I've used, this is long and short chain. It's about 2 1/4 inches, and it is 8 links long. So I've used the 2 oval ends, which means I'm going to have a little middle, a little tiny here, center as a middle. So this will be my middle. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the eye pin, open it, and slip it into either end of this chain here. Close it. Again, find your middle when you're going to the other end, because you'll make sure that you get your chain straight so it hangs correctly. It's going to be kind of like a, kind of a trapeze is sometimes what we call these earrings. When we do them like this, they have a little swing to them. And see if you have it even, it'll hang correctly. Okay, so slip your eye pin into that small loop that was the center and close it. And then I'm going to slip on a Swarovski round in crystal copper. And in this case, I want it to hang this way. So when I make my loop for my ear wire, I want it to go the opposite direction of the way it's hanging now. So again, I've got to measure this 3/8 of an inch from the bead. So if I know I want it to hang this way, I'm going to make my loop go this direction. And roll it towards the bead. And then you can add your ear wire. If you don't have wire looping tools, I will show you how to do this while cutting it. Now we've got the ear wire on there and it hangs correctly. But I will show you how to do it with round nose pliers. You just take I'm just going to use this eye pin, but I'm going to take a bead and put it on here on the wire. I'm going to again trim it. The wire looping tool just makes a real nice easy loop, but you can also do it with round nose pliers. So I've cut the wire 3/8 inch from the top of the bead. And with regular round nose pliers, you would just grab the end of the wire, roll it down toward the bead, and then come back in and just kind of straighten it up a little bit. And again, you've got a rosary loop that you've made. And it's a little easier than making it where you do the right angle over the top of the bead.